Hello, hello.
There we are.
All
Hey.
right, hello. This is the San Carlos Computer Club, and this morning we're starting with just the three of us. Welcome. This might be a fast meeting if we don't have any other members joining us, because I only brought two really light topics myself. But how are you guys doing this morning?
How about you, Sandy?
Mom, you're muted, but you're not in the rain. It's not raining.
Yeah, not raining. The dogs had a good walk, played in the dog park. Now he's sleeping.
Wonderful.
Yeah, he's quiet.
That's
Hmm,
that's the dog report for today.
that's all you need to know.
Well, I did prepare a document that has some topics on it. I'm going to put that link in our meet just for convenience sake. But like always, if you guys have things, questions, troubleshooting, whatnot that you're interested in sharing, please share that with me. I'm much interested in helping you solve your tech problems.
I
Scott,
don't.
you probably. Oh, are you through with your introduction?
I am.
Okay, sorry.
And there's plenty of room
Um,
for all three of us. So go ahead, Mom.
all right. I think it was. I must have been on Facebook. I found where something where every once in a while they put out must have things you must have, electrical things. And I haven't been able to find that one again, but it had to do with this little block that you could carry with you, and you could get on, you could do your computer, your phone, and stuff from that little block. Like when we had such long outages of our Wi-Fi. Does that sound familiar to you, Scott, at all, or you,
No, I'm not
Jim?
sure what we're talking about.
Okay, well, I'll have to hunt for it. Um, it seemed too good to be true.
Is that
What?
It's just a
Paul?
little block
Are
about
you
this
in
big, I think.
Star Wars? Where are you?
Paul, there he is. Hey, Paul,
I think all
looking
I
good
could
out in
see
your
was
boat.
the top of his head and a Star Wars motif in the background. And good morning, Chester. We're just getting started. We're already on YouTube, so pull your pants up. We don't want to. I'm just
Hmm.
kidding. We never see Chester. All we see is your background these
Well, one of these days I'll get my camera fixed.
days. Well, I find this. Um, this is probably. Oh, it is working. Let me see if I can do this. This is the continuity camera from Apple. If you have an iPhone and a Macintosh, this is very strange. Every time I have my iPhone close to me and I turn on a video program or a photo program, my iPhone switches into this mode. So before I was having trouble making it work. Now I'm having trouble controlling when it works. I mean, turning it off, stopping it from working. There is a screen on it. Here, let me. There we go. This is what the screen looks like when it's in this mode. Doesn't need to be connected. I just don't like draining my battery. And so I can pause the mode that it's in, or I can just disconnect it. What I've learned is if I disconnect it, then if I want it, it becomes a chore to try and turn it back on. So if all of a
Hmm.
sudden I wanted to be able to show you what's on my phone, I wouldn't. There isn't an easy way to do that, and so I'm thinking what this mode needs is a in the control panel. If you guys are familiar with, oh, nobody can see me anyway. Here we go. If you guys are familiar with the control panel on an iPhone, I think there should be another button right here that just says continuity camera. Turn it on, turn it off. And then you have full control over it. So Apple, if you're out there listening to our computer club, that's my suggestion. Put a button right here that I can turn this mode on or off. Because I totally use it. It's very, very helpful. If all of a sudden I needed to oh, what am I doing? There we go. Resume. It paused. Let's see if it'll resume. Resume. There we go. So yeah, if all of a sudden I had somebody else in the room I wanted to broadcast or some reason to broadcast some other video, I'd like to be able to just turn it on instead of auto. You know, Apple does a lot of this auto stuff. I'm going to hit disconnect. And now I'm probably not going to be able to turn that mode back on. The only thing that might turn it back on, maybe if I reboot the phone or if I turn off this video software and turn it back on.
Jerry and Nancy Ann Morris.
Sorry.
That's okay. What is cool is this is a concept that's been long coming. You guys have seen me in person in Tequilas, and I'll use a cell phone. I'll use my cell phone as an external camera, put it on a tripod so we can get a shot of everybody at the table. And I've been using an open source piece of software. It's actually not even open source. It's what's that called? Freemium. If you can use the features that it gives you for free, then go for it. And if you need those extra features, then you can pay for it. It's one of those pieces of software. Now it's integrated right into the iPhone. But it's, like I was saying before, it's not very well organized or administered. So I'm imagining it's going to get better with time. And it's something that's just been very hard to do on other devices. So this is the first time it's come close to being easy. And somewhat reliable. Definitely high quality. The app I use when we do the in-person meeting makes it very choppy. The video ends up being very choppy. So that's not even an ideal. This is the closest I've seen to a really decent Wi-Fi camera for your computer. And it's constrained by, it needs to be a Macintosh computer. It needs to be a Macintosh device for you to take advantage of it. Wonder if that's the next lawsuit that we're gonna, open up the app stores, open up continuity camera. I want to use my Samsung on my Macintosh, or I want to use my iPhone on my Windows computer. Paul, how are you doing? What is your background? You are muted. We didn't want to hear from you anyway, Paul. While Paul's unmuting, I'm going to just resend this link. Oh, it looks like he's having a technical problem. Jim's back with us. So, Chester, did you bring any technical... any news,
Yes.
any problems you're trying to solve?
Yes, I have one that I'm trying to solve.
Please enlighten us. Hi, Judy. All right, hi, Judy.
Once or more than once a day, I have a pop-up that is related to this club.
A pop-up related to this club?
Yeah, and reminding me to connect or something. And I don't know where it's coming from.
Calendar.
I had to decline always on my calendar because it kept doing
I
that.
just checked the
It kept trying to remind you every time?
Yeah, so I have it turned off. I have it like never accept anything on my calendar from the computer club.
Oh, I don't know if that would be because Chester's running Windows and you're running the Mac calendar, and that is a problem with the Mac calendar.
Oh, maybe it's not his problem then, but it was very annoying. We talked about this quite some time ago. So I ended up just uh, don't ever accept anything from San Carlos Computer Club.
Aw,
Aw,
that's
it's
too
better than being
bad.
annoyed.
Aw, you could have both.
No. So I just had a really exciting event.
Oh, yes.
So I was sitting in here in the house, and the guy was sanding on my deck to get it ready to seal. And all of a sudden, this boom! And the transformer down the block about, oh, next door blew.
Wow.
And so they just came out and fixed it, and it was a dead squirrel. He chewed through the wires, and that was it. Couldn't have happened to a nicer animal. Anyway, that was my morning, so I'm kind of who knows what.
I remember that happening out here a few years back. They're out trying to figure out what was wrong with it, and a dead squirrel just fell out of the transformer.
This guy was the dead squirrel was laying in my neighbor's driveway.
Oh, wow.
Just glad it wasn't my driveway.
Did it knock out your electricity or your
Oh
neighbor's
yeah,
electricity?
it knocked out because I have no cell service here unless I'm on Wi-Fi calling, so it knocked off all my electricity. Half of my neighbors across the street and the rest of the people are at work, so they probably don't know that anything happened.
I guess I should probably give you a disclaimer. Since Saturday evening, we've had real instabilities in our area, both internet and power. I've been told it's all power related. We've had a lot of raining, a lot of flooding in our area, and starting Saturday night, we lost internet. We woke up the next Sunday. We went through most of Sunday morning without internet. Probably in the afternoon, internet started coming back. Yesterday, we lost internet a couple of times. Couldn't even work at one point, and then it comes back, and we lose power. And so we're in a blackout in the evening for about almost an hour.
That's all those EVs being charged.
Yeah, right. During the blackout, we could make phone calls on cell phones, but the data wasn't working. So you couldn't pull up web pages, you couldn't check email on your phone. Many times when internet goes out, you switch to your cell phone. But there's no satisfaction there when we were out of power and out of data. Fortunately, we could still make phone calls. Who does that anymore?
Well, I can't even make phone calls because I have a fiber optic phone. So I don't have, they didn't tell me that that was what was going to happen when I got fiber optics in the house, was that I wouldn't have a real phone anymore. So I
Yeah,
have nothing when the power goes out.
that emergency line, it's just no longer there in a lot of installations.
Nope.
Do we even have a landline? I don't even think we have a landline anymore.
Well, if you can make phone calls.
Well, we on our cell phones.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but that was what was interesting about the problem we had before. When the power went out, we lost data on our cell phones. So all we could do is make phone calls. We weren't able to, check the news or get email or any of that. What you typically think of being able to do across your phone when you can't get access to internet through your local connection. Yes, it's an odd world in that respect. What else do we have going on? What did I bring? I brought the latest from. Actually, this is a little late because this happened like right after our meeting last week. But this is like the third the third step in this Intel CPUs are burning up issue? I think I've probably mentioned in 2 different meetings that this would affect your purchasing decision. It would affect my purchasing decision. If I was going out to buy a new Windows computer running the Intel 13th or 14th generation chips, regardless of what I bought, the way I would buy it would be influenced by what's going on right now and how Intel and its partner hardwares their hardware partners are dealing with this issue. So to recap, what's going on is these 13th and 14th generation Intel chips used typically in Windows-based computers are proving to destroy themselves if given too much electricity. And the too much electricity is governed by the stats that Intel, or the specifications that Intel told their hardware partners were okay. What they found out later is that they are not okay, and that the performance levels that Intel was expecting to get out of these chips must lower to maintain the health of these chips. And the controversy is that out there, these chips are already out there in the market. They've been used for months now, and certain activities are boosting the electricity into these chips because that's the way CPUs work. But with these CPUs, it's actually doing damage to the CPU, and people are finding that their computers are rebooting or having random errors, random crashes. And so Intel has had to come out and admit this is a problem. If you're like me, you found out about this problem when Intel was offering a fix that was really kind of lukewarm, because the fix was going to prevent currently undamaged CPUs from damaging themselves. So if you're aware of this issue and you're aware of the generation processor you have, and it's on the list of things that could be damaged, then you can apply this fix to prevent it from having damage in the future. I'm hoping, and I haven't read anything about this yet, but I'm hoping that firmware gets picked up by Microsoft and it gets pushed out to your Windows platform to update itself, so that you as the consumer don't have to worry about getting it installed. But if it doesn't get installed, then you as the consumer are persistently concerned that you might be doing activities with one of these chips that is beyond the scope of what it's capable of doing, and in essence damaging the chip over time. So last week, Intel, the week before that, all we had was the lukewarm software fix for people that aren't already having problems. The week after that, last week, we had Intel telling us that they will extend the warranty on their chips. So chips typically have 3-year warranties, and they're extending those to 5 years. So if you bought a chip from Intel, I'm showing a picture of a boxed CPU right there. You could have gotten it from Amazon, for example. If there's a problem with that CPU, you can deal with Intel directly, and they will send you a new chip. You just have to jump through their hoops. If your chip is one that's with their hardware partners, such as an HP or Dell, well, that's what we're talking about this week. Is Verge has gone through, identified the chips, and has talked to a number of these hardware manufacturers to find out what their warranty situation is. If you have an Acer, you have an Asus, Dell, if you have HP, Lenovo, and there's some others on here that I had not considered as being, they're smaller hardware manufacturers. They're offering very large guarantees on these PCs, on these CPUs, Digital Storm is one that I've not heard of. Corsair I haven't paid any attention to, but I knew it was out there. Corsair is offering a 4-year total CPU warranty. Digital Storm is offering a 5-year CPU warranty. Falcon Northwest, another one I haven't heard of, is offering 5 years on the CPU. Again, like I started talking, I think this issue affects your purchasing decision. I think that manufacturers that will come out and say, we'll make sure your computer is going to work 5 years from now because of this issue, is a manufacturer worth looking at if you were going to buy a new computer. And this is, to me, a list of manufacturers to consider in the future how they handle this issue. If an issue comes in the future, is that a manufacturer you're going to have confidence in? You get at the end of this article, and you're impressed by the number of manufacturers out there, not only the ones you haven't heard of, but the ones you have heard of that are going to stand beside your product. You get down to the bottom, and you find, oh, and there's been updates too. They've heard from from Dell. They've clarified their position. Here's the one that blows me away, that I'm really disappointed about. Lenovo has issued the most non-committal statement yet. Lenovo, the business computer brand bought from IBM, will not commit to fixing your chips, and this has real significance to me. The organization that I work for in Phoenix standardized on Lenovo. Actually, before I got there, we've just continued to support Lenovo. It's always been a very stable platform. But their handling of this is one more reason that we're interested in switching to a different manufacturer. And because of their position on this, I would have trouble recommending Lenovo in general as we move forward. They've had plenty of time to take a position on how they're going to deal with a known hardware problem that affects their customers, and they just haven't. So I'm imagining that what you get with Lenovo right now is their standard warranty, be it 1 year or if you bought an extended warranty. But this chip problem, if I had a Lenovo as well, and again, I'm saying these 13th and 14th generation chips. I know my father's out there with a Lenovo. He's not in this batch of computers. These are fairly recent computers, and a very specific set of these computers, these chips that have been found to be faulty. But I think that the way a manufacturer handles these problems should influence your purchasing decisions in the future. And at the moment, Lenovo's off my recommendation list. This is, in case you're curious, this is the list of questionable processors that are out there. Very, very recent processors. There's a couple of i5s on there, which are really common in the consumer space. i7s and i9s you normally go after. You pay a higher price for it. They're much more popular with power users like gamers and graphic artists and video processors. But each one of those is a model, and if you have a Windows computer, you can go into your system information and you can see which model CPU you have. If this is a computer that you've bought within the last 6 months, there's a chance that you've got one of these chips in your computer. I, in general, am very impressed. I think there's some misinterpretation. Companies like HP is saying 2-year warranty extension. It's not clear what that means. If that's an extension of the HP's warranty, which would be 1 year, which would be a total of 3 years, or if they're saying the processor's got the Intel 3-year warranty and this is 2 years on top of that on the processor. I think there's a number of these, like Dell. Dell has had to re-specify. Asus needs to say something more specific. And I think these 4 and 5 years are just going on. If it burns out and we sold it to you and it's less than 5 years old, we're going to fix it for you. I think that's very cut and dry. So I'm curious to explore Digital Storm, Falcon Northwest, and Main Gear. If they feel that comfortable of giving those kinds of solid guarantees, they're definitely manufacturers worth looking at if I was going to purchase another computer. Dell is a computer that we recommend all the time, so that's still on my list. But I'm just caught off guard by the number of mainstream manufacturers that have been wishy-washy on this issue, and the number of manufacturers that I didn't even know were out there that are solidly saying, yes, we'll stand by our product. Well, I know these kinds of things may be more interesting to me than you, so I open the floor to any other questions or topics you guys are interested in. The only other topic I've brought is just a light one on the VP pick for Kamala's campaign, and this is not meant to be a political issue, but I do find this really fun. The Walz, who I know nothing about until recently, is the governor that signed, they say right here in the heading, the most expansive right to repair law that Minnesota's ever seen. Actually, it's been used as a model in other states. And apparently he is a big do-it-yourself guy. And what's fun is he's got a Twitter post here talking about fixing his car and what part to get from AutoZone and what you need to do to fix it. And I'm like, this is my kind of guy. If you're interested in knowing more about right to repair, this is a great primer to just get you into that mindset. Right to repair is legislation that is regulating manufacturers into building products that guarantee their repairability over time, so that we're not building things that just get tossed in the trash. Now, the unfortunate thing with Minnesota's law, but this is the only way you can get things like this passed, are when they have exceptions for things like farming equipment. John Deere has a huge lobby, and that's the reason that's not included in their law. But anything, I've heard the analogy a couple of times about we're not racing to the destination. We're on a bus getting us closer there, and I'm on this bus. So if the next thing you got to work on is making it include farm equipment, I'm actually trying to skim this article because there was a handful of things that were not included. John Deere fighting, because it was more than farm equipment. Where is it? The Minnesota law covers all electronics except cybersecurity tools, video game consoles, cars, medical devices, and farm equipment. So I think, to me, that's a list of the lobbying groups that people should be paying attention to. Why video game consoles, cars, those are two areas, and farm equipment, of course. These are three areas that you would expect to be able to get this stuff fixed. You shouldn't be avoiding warranties if you have to take it to a third party. Parts should be available for these things. I feel that way about all the things on this list, but I think I can rationalize cybersecurity tools and medical devices. I think I can rationalize those in my mind. If we're going to have trouble getting those on a right to repair list, I just feel like if you were to wrap your head around the idea of medical devices being repaired by third parties, that might go awry. There
Then
may
why
be.
would
Oh,
why would
Chester,
you
you want to
call?
please somebody make a comment? I'm rambling.
Yeah, I just wonder why you would call Walls your guy when he excluded farm equipment, which is the basis for this whole issue.
Well, Chester, it's because it covers everything but farm equipment because there was nothing covered before, and
Yeah,
this
but
is
it
as close
started.
as he could get fighting a company like John Deere.
The whole issue started with John Deere buyers, and that was the basis for the whole issue to begin with.
Well,
And this guy succumbed to uh, political pressure.
well, I don't disagree with that, Chester. But again, I have to point out there was nothing protecting right to repair until they started crafting this legislation, and the thing that held it back was fighting against the lobbyists of John Deere.
Well, there
So,
was really nothing needed before John Deere. It was
well,
only
that's
John
now
Deere that raised
I would
issues.
disagree with that, Chester. There's been something needed all along, and you can see that in the market creep that a company like Apple has done, where they've locked out their devices from being repaired. They've limited the supply of those parts. They've made it difficult for unlicensed repairers to fix their equipment. This legislation has been long in coming. Every manufacturer that has bolted a battery into your device so you can't take it out is working against you. The we need this legislation. This is as close to I mean, this is an example of how powerful John Deere is. This is as close as Minnesota could get.
And Apple.
And Apple, absolutely. But Apple, being a California company, is now subject to their right to repair law, which has gotten expanded. So Apple has to keep on the books. They have to keep software updates for up to 7 years. They have to keep repair manuals and have them available for third parties. They have to have a marketplace of parts available to fix their equipment, and they've fundamentally had to change their design principles so that
So,
repairs can be
so
made.
Scott,
Yeah.
Scott, this is what I found about this. While Minnesota's final right to repair legislation is wider ranging than in any other states, the parameters of the bill narrowed through the process.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right.
It says manufacturers made a late push to weaken the legislation.
Hmm.
So you can't really blame the governor. He did what he could to do this.
He's pushing against mountains.
Exactly. Minnesota became the fourth state to enact a right to repair law and only the second to pass a bill covering multiple industries. Colorado has enacted legislation covering powered wheelchairs and farm equipment.
When we use the metaphor, they're throwing us scraps. This is what scraps look like. This is as close as we can get. It is impressive. It is impressive, and it is the direction we're supposed to be going. Eventually, we will be able to replace a battery in an iPhone again. It didn't start out that way. So yeah, it's just a touch. I did not mean for it to be a political statement. I meant it more to be just right to repair, right to repair. I guess that is a political statement, but not towards any endorsement. I found it fun that we've got somebody that's very aware of this in the campaign, and I think it's a true example of the kind of mountains that this kind of legislation has to push up against. 7 years isn't a lot either. You can have a perfectly functioning iPhone that's 7 years old. It's not getting software updates. Oh, on that note, is anybody running with an old Apple device? I was caught off guard yesterday.
How old is old?
iOS 15?
Uh,
Maybe.
well, I don't know. I update mine, so I don't know.
Well, I'm referring to devices that no longer get the version updates.
Nope.
So I've got an old iPad Air here, iPad Air 2. It has not. We are about to receive iOS 18. It's in beta. It's the next version of iOS that's coming out for the newest devices. This will not get it. It has not had an iOS update since 15. To give you an idea, as far as Apple's concerned, it's 3 software generations behind. However, 2 days ago, I got an update to that software, which is unusual, which tells me that there is a security issue on Apple devices that span back so far that they have to continue to support it 3 software generations back, at least. Which is, I mean, it's a double-edged, I mean, my opinion is double-edged sword. Like, they will not give me the latest operating system, but they do know I'm still using a device that's this old. If it wasn't for a security risk that could compromise their systems, they wouldn't bother with it because they recognize there's enough of their market still using these older devices that, I mean, we're talking about there are devices that are 9 years old that have gotten this update.
So Scott, would my old Apple computer that I do all my photography on, can that be upgraded now?
No.
Yeah.
No, it's because it's way out of date. But you're not wrong in thinking those other generations of software. What I've observed in the past was that you would see something like this happen, and you would see some of those older softwares get that dot upgrade, the .1 to .2 or the .2 to .3. And unfortunately, I think yours is old enough, you're not going to see any of that. I think it's completely abandoned, which is unfortunate because it's a great computer. It's fixable. The new ones are not. The only thing holding it back is Apple not refusing to support the software that will run on it. They don't want to develop the software to keep it running. And that's really the right to repair stuff is what's pushed that to a 7-year limit, whereas before it didn't have it. The expansion in California's law, it goes to $100 items or higher. So if you've got any electronic device you paid $100 on, you should expect parts and instructions on how to fix it for up to 7 years. Your computer falls older than that, and so I don't expect there to be any fix. And if you wanted to use it as a computer on a more modern operating system, then you would be looking at putting something like a Linux version of a desktop on it. Or maybe running it as as Chester has done in the past, run it as a Windows computer. Boot it up as a Windows computer and buy a license for Windows 11 for it. Which isn't the most practical, but it's nice hardware, even though you can't continue to run the software. Guys, I've exhausted the topics I've showed up with. Have we got any random topics of anything?
Well, I have a series that Jan and I have been watching, which many of you may have already watched, but we really enjoy it. And it's got 16 seasons.
Wow, what is that?
It's called Heartland. It's a horse ranch in Canada.
Oh, yeah. I think we've talked about this before. Mom, isn't this one of the ones you guys watch all the time?
Well, we did until we ran out of seasons. What is it,
easy to
16 seasons or something like that? It's quite a
it,
bit.
it's easy
We
to
really
watch a
enjoyed
lot
it.
of.
We enjoyed learning about the horses and all the different ways and kinds of uses horses can have, and it was really good.
And it seems like every hour they have a couple of different plots going, uh,
Hmm.
and it's very well done.
Yeah, and it's tame.
It's
No
clean.
shoot 'em up, no swear words, that kind of thing. It's good for family.
Is it still 17 seasons?
Yeah, they got a 17th out now. Well, we haven't seen that one. What's interesting is it's the same people are making this. I mean, this is their work. They the same gal that started as a little girl is now an adult with a child of her own,
Okay.
and she's still working this ranch, and it's quite impressive that way. I guess she does live right pretty close to where they filmed this. Someone was telling me that. Someone from this club, I think, was
Well,
telling me.
Cheryl and Bill have talked about it.
Oh yeah, Cheryl and Bill.
Oh yeah, didn't they say they've gone through that area? Like they know where
Yeah.
that's being filmed?
Mm-hmm.
I don't. It sounds a little soap opera-ish to me. Grew up in the show.
Different one, I think.
It's got a high rating on track on. I think this is Track or IMDb.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think every show is really good quality. Acting is believable. Situations are kind of corny at times, but that kind of makes it interesting too.
I'm sorry, Sandy, what show were you talking about? I had to go and talk to my.
Heartland,
Oh, yeah, I like that. It's a little hokey, but it's okay.
it's sweet. Yeah,
Did a new season start?
they have 17 now.
Wow.
It's listed in here as 2007 to 2023, which makes me feel like is it still going?
Flood. Yeah, the flood.
Maybe the 17th season was 2023 and we're waiting for an 18th season.
I'll
Gosh,
have to check it out.
What I've noticed with if you're looking at my screen, what I've noticed with this site though, they typically leave it open ended if it's an active. It's an
yeah,
active
she's
show.
come up often.
Yeah.
Well, cool. We got anything else? Any hardware not working for people?
Maybe, but I don't know.
We still have my pop-ups.
Yeah, now which pop-up is oh, this is just random advertisements that are happening?
No, it's the San Carlos Computer Club
Oh, where is it popping up?
in Outlook.
Well, that's where it's supposed to pop up. It's a calendar.
Every day or twice a day.
Well, did you let's see if it's in Outlook, there should be a button there to confer to stop it. You should I forget the language for it, but there's a like dismiss, is that right?
I can dismiss it, but it pops back up later.
We've got 15 minutes left in this call, and I'm feeling like we probably don't need the next meet at this point. But Chester, I am curious why you're not able to just dismiss those away. I know they stack up if you what is the language? I need to bring up some Outlook because I haven't used Outlook in a long time. But I know that you've got like two buttons there, and one of them will make it pop up again because you've just like said later, and the other one is for like accepting it, and then it won't pop up again until, but it's a weekly thing, so it's going to pop up the next week.
Actually, Scott, I had to decline every meeting to stop that, and I don't run Outlook. But it was the same on my iCalendar, whatever they call it. I declined them all. I never get Well, I get
I can appreciate your experience, but it's completely different on Outlook. It's
sounds exactly what I was experiencing though.
yeah, but this
The constant reminder.
there. So what happens in your calendar app? I'll speak in generalities. Is that if you don't, and first of all, the Google Calendar invite is a weekly thing. So whether you accept it, decline it, remove it from your calendar, next week another one's going to appear. That's what gives you access to the group, this meet that we're in. So that being said, every week you're expecting to see a calendar reminder. That
For
that's the way
years
it
and
works.
years, I never saw it. It's only just recently that it's become an issue.
So that may be more a notifications issue then, Chester. Maybe you weren't getting notifications for your calendar entries before.
Could be.
It, I mean,
I'll let,
it
I'll let
definitely warrants exploring it better. I'd like to see what you're describing on the screen because I think that there's a way to stop the notification that is coming this week, but then next week you would expect to see another one that you would stop. Regardless of whether you accepted it or not, it's going to persistently come up each week because we have a weekly meeting.
it comes up every day.
Yeah, now the everyday thing sounds very much like an Outlook experience, and it's when you're postponing dealing with the entry. So when you go into Outlook again, you're getting this stack of entries. By next week there would be 2 of them if you weren't dealing with them. The following week you would have 3 of them, and they would pop up every day until you dealt with them. If that makes sense.
Okay.
But I'm having to talk in generalities because I don't have Outlook in front of me and I haven't been using Outlook, though I need to start. So why don't I just add that to my list of things to look into? I'm putting that on. Look into calendar invites on Outlook. And to Jody's gone. Okay. Well, I was going to add to what might have added to her frustration is that there were 2 invites every week because we had 2 different meetings. We would go from one to the other, and that one has stopped going out. At one point, I think it was in one of the shifts between Cheryl hosting the meeting and I. We lost that other one. And so to get into the second meeting, everybody just has to ask for permission. Chester, do you know how to take a screenshot of your computer?
Yes,
Can you do that for me the next time you see one of those Outlook?
Yeah, I'll do that and I'll send it to you.
Yeah, because I'd like the opportunity to explain what's going on or sort it out if it's not right.
I'll convert the screenshot to a JPEG and send it to you.
Excellent. Yeah, let's do that. We had Heartland as a recommendation. Do we have any other recommendations out there before we're out of here?
Well, this has come up this has come up before, but I haven't heard anybody talk about it for a while. On BritBox, Beyond the Flood.
Beyond the Flood?
I think that's what it's called, Beyond the Flood.
I haven't heard of that.
It starts out, it's typical British, but and it starts out slow, but it gets very intriguing after a while. The situations they present, it's these in this town that gets flooded. It's of course the social service people and the police that are trying to help people with all of this. Anyway, when the waters recede, they find a dead person in an elevator, and the elevator didn't have any water in it. So that kind of drives the show, figuring that the mystery of figuring out how that all happened. And of course, other stories are woven in and out. But that we thought that was a really good series.
Oh, this looks really interesting. New BritBox. Oh, is it? It's after the flood.
Oh, after the flood.
Is that
Okay.
right? Am I looking? Do you see my
Yeah,
screen? I'm
what you're
at the right
looking at is what I meant.
Okay.
Yeah.
After the flood. That's funny. There's a U.S. release of something called Before the Flood.
No, I haven't seen that.
After the flood. I'm just looking it up now. Oh, there's a couple of after the floods, but this looks like the right thing, doesn't it?
Yes, it is. That's it. Yeah. Anyway.
Joanna finds an unidentified man dead in a lift in an underground car park after a devastating flood. Police assume that he became trapped as the waters rose, but she is obsessed with discovering what actually happened to him. I added the word actually.
No. I was thinking there wasn't any water in the elevator, but maybe there was.
After the flood.
It's a series.
It is a series.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. And it's just the four of us now. Anybody want to say something or forever hold their peace till next week?
I have no
Adios.
All right, guys. Well, I'm going to say goodbye too. Until next week, everybody tech on.
Tech on. Bye, guys.
See you, Mom. See you, Paul. Well, short and sweet meeting this week. Not too many of us were online, and we were light for topics. So we ended at an hour 3, unlike our typical hour and a half. If you liked this or you're interested in our group, check us out. scclub.org is the website where we post links to these YouTube videos. We're also on YouTube under the same name. Twitter, I do very little on Twitter. We've got a Tumblr out there somewhere. And all of this is just kind of my passion project. In real life, I'm an IT guy. I work for an organization in Phoenix, and I maintain a computer consulting business in Mexico with my sister-in-law. So if you're looking for computer help out there, we're remote workers. Get a hold of me, Scott, at internationalcs.net. Otherwise, tune in on YouTube to lurk and watch us have our weekly conversations. Until next week, everyone out there in internet land, you guys tech on.